Some places don't scare you immediately. They wait. They let your mind do the work. Tonight, we are not chasing ghosts. We are chasing something far more unsettling. A story where fact fades into legend. Where belief becomes more powerful than proof. This is the story of Stull Cemetery. Before the rumors, before the warnings, before the fear, there was a town, Stull, Kansas. Founded in 1857, Stull was like hundreds of other Midwestern settlements. Farms, dirt roads, and families trying to survive the American frontier. Life here was incredibly hard. Winters were brutal, disease was common, and medical care was minimal. Death was not unusual. That is why the cemetery came first. Gravestones from the 1850s and 1860s still stand today, marking the final resting places of children, mothers, and fathers. Entire families were sometimes buried within just a few feet of one another. This wasn't the result of evil. It was a testament to the harsh realities of survival. And yet, places shaped by so much loss tend to carry something else, a weight that lingers long after the memories fade. In 1892, a small stone church was built right next to the cemetery. It quickly became the heart of the community, a place for Sunday services, funerals, and weddings. And then it burned. No one knows for sure why it happened. Officially, the cause was ruled an accidental electrical issue, perhaps, or a stove left unattended, but the timing was strange. The church burned down while the town of Stull was already fading. Families were leaving, farms were failing, and the once thriving community was becoming quiet, too quiet. Only the cemetery remained active, and something about those burned ruins, standing stark against the sky, stuck in people's minds. It was a scar on the landscape, a physical reminder of a community that was disappearing, leaving only its dead behind. Legends don't just appear overnight. They grow, slowly, like weeds through cracked stone. In the early 20th century, whispers began to spread through the nearby towns. These were stories told late at night, the kind meant to scare children and keep them in line. They said something was wrong with the cemetery, that animals refused to go near it, that people felt dizzy and disoriented as soon as they passed through the gates. That time itself seemed to warp inside its boundaries. Then came the most famous claim of all, the one that would cement Stull's dark reputation forever. People started saying that Stull Cemetery was one of the 7 gates of hell. Not a metaphor, not a figure of speech, a literal gateway. According to the growing legend, there are 7 places on earth where hell touches the surface. 6 of them are hidden, their locations lost to time. But the 7th, they said, was Stull. The story claimed that the devil himself appeared here twice a year on the spring and autumn equinoxes, always at the stroke of midnight. He would supposedly rise from beneath the ruins of the old stone church, walk among the graves, and then vanish back into the earth. Of course, no witnesses ever stayed long enough to prove it, and maybe that was the point. The legend didn't need proof. It thrived on its absence. Another legend soon followed, adding another layer to the myth. It was the story of a staircase hidden somewhere beneath the ruins of the church. Stone steps that led straight down, underground, into total darkness. Some claimed the staircase was sealed, blocked off to prevent whatever was down there from getting out. Others swore it would vanish and reappear, a phantom passage that only revealed itself to the truly unlucky. Here's the truth. No official record of a staircase has ever existed. There are no photographs, no blueprints, no architectural plans that show it. But the church did have a simple basement, a root cellar for storage. And sometimes, one small, forgotten fact is all a legend needs to take root and grow into something monstrous. So why did these stories take hold with such force? Why did people believe them so fiercely? It's because Stull was abandoned. Empty places are like blank canvases, inviting our darkest imaginations to paint on them. The town's tragic history left an emotional residue, a feeling of sadness that was easy to mistake for something more sinister. And the cemetery had something else that fueled the fear: a noticeable number of children's graves. Several small headstones mark the resting places of infants and young children, taken by the rampant illnesses of the era. Their deaths were tragic, but not supernatural. Yet, when people saw those small graves, their minds created explanations far more terrifying than the simple, heartbreaking truth. Fear hates silence, and it will invent any story to fill the void. Everything changed in the 1970s and 80s. Paranormal culture exploded across America, and urban legends began to spread faster than the truth ever could. Suddenly, Stull Cemetery wasn't just a local spooky spot. It was a national phenomenon. Teenagers started sneaking into the cemetery at night, looking for a thrill. They were followed by paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and even self-proclaimed occult groups, all drawn by the dark tales. With this new attention came real problems. There were widespread reports of vandalism, with historic gravestones being broken and defaced. The issue wasn't demons or devils. It was people, driven by a powerful and destructive belief. Eventually, the local authorities had no choice but to step in. The cemetery was officially closed at night. No trespassing signs were posted, and local police began to increase their patrols of the area. But they weren't trying to protect people from satanic activity. They were trying to protect the cemetery from the very people who believed in it. The irony is chilling. The cemetery didn't need protecting from some ancient, supernatural evil. It needed protecting from the real-world harm caused by the legend itself. The belief in evil became more destructive than any evil the stories described. The very act of trying to find the darkness brought a very real darkness with it. Today, the town of Stull barely exists. There's a handful of buildings, a quiet road, and a locked cemetery gate. Visitors are still allowed during daylight hours, but the atmosphere remains heavy. There are no hidden stairs. No devil appears at midnight. There are no gates to hell, and yet people who visit still describe the same unsettling feeling: a pressure in the chest, a physical heaviness in the air, a profound and unshakable sense of being watched. Nothing ever happens, but almost no one stays for long. The silence itself feels loud. Maybe Stull Cemetery isn't a gateway to hell. Maybe it's a mirror, a place where our collective fears reflect back at us, amplified by the solitude and the weight of history. It's a place where history has completely dissolved into myth, and where the oppressive silence becomes unbearable. The town of Stull vanished, but its story didn't, because legends don't die in cemeteries. They live on inside of us. Nothing ever happened at Stull Cemetery. And somehow, that's the most disturbing part.